Hello everyone, it's I, Mr. Big T Anderson, and this is Assassin's Creed Trappe. Now, just on first, my French is horrible, and you're going to find that out in this story. So, make fun of my French below. Anyway, this is a story by Idoyitshi. Hopefully I did not butcher that. If I did, let me know. Art, links down below. Once again, I'm short on the clock, so we're getting this done ASAP for you guys. And we're going to be doing Assassin's Creed and Mega Man this month. So, if you're new here, basically the rules are I'm just Schmucky Duck reading it. Hopefully you enjoy these things. If you do, send them out amongst the internet. And, yeah, pretty much it. Let's begin. Charles Genevieve Louis Auguste André Timothée Deon de Beaumont, said two fine, exquisite red lips. It's a pleasure to meet one of your kind, Arnaud. Enchanté. A blue-cloaked figure stepped out from the shadows, wanton in his mind with a steeled gaze, failing his stoic expression. They've told me to wait for a man here, France's best. It would be in your best interest to bring him to me and stop this charade that you're playing. His left arm quivered. The metal joints of a particular contraption settled uncannily into place. He continued. I would appreciate it if he can show himself rather than hide behind a damsel. As he said through gritted teeth. A pity. But, le monsieur, it just so happens that he stands in front of your very eyes. Continued the lithe, short figure in a shimmering silk jacket and lined petticoat paired with a spiraling mantua bell gown, which rendered her feet beyond sight via the blown-up raiment. It's a pleasure. Her eyes lit up. Arnaud looked dead into her black eyes and steeled his gaze. Then, Chevalier, I hope you are aware that I've come to... You stopped mid-sentence. Yes, assassinate me. I'm well aware of you sensible pretty boy assassins and grandmasters, the tomfoolery which is their animalistic sense of justice against their beloved Templars. She feigned a sigh. Don't you think you're a touch pretty to hide their face with that unwashed hood of yours? She curtly waved her right hand above her nose and gestured. You really need to wash that. Godspeed. Arnaud slid off his hood and stepped out into the gaslit street and calmly cautioned. I consider myself honor-bound not to touch a woman in a manner appropriate for a brute. It would be best if you tell me where that filthy Templar hides himself. The fawn-like figure rolled her eyes and reached back for her waist and tugged on the weave of string that held her petticoat in place, and yanked the same open, undoing the strap. Arnaud did not expect this, and as soon as her petticoat fell on the ground, courtesy of gravity, he quickly held his right palm on his face, averting his gaze. Woman, have you no shame? Shouldn't you do such a thing undeserving of your womanly finesse? He peeked through the opening between his middle and index finger. The gown lay at her shaved feet alongside her petticoat as she tore open her jacket to bare her corset, revealing a generous, well-endowed bosom, complete with a cross-pate resembling the mark of Cain. A French infantry sword hung from her shapely waist, a deadly rapier, behest of a ferrule or guard for fingers, making and marking the dedication of the bearer who would willingly sacrifice the greater grip as well as for the protection for better precision in a deadlier strike. Templar. Arnaud was surprised, and the woman arced her finger around her midriff and slid the shoulder straps off and caressed the mark. So, pretty boy, going to stop the sword beforehand, or maybe after it impales your beating heart? She chassed and sliced her rapier through the air, stanced herself and smiled. In hoc signo vince, en garde, darling. And ran towards Arnaud at lightning speed on her glass heels and planted her right leg, while ducking at the same time, swinging her sword right at Arnaud's face, and he barely raised his left arm to brace the slash. Arnaud's waist twitched as the blood-encrusted rusty mechanism sprang into motion, scraping into the locks and greaves. A metal blade emerged from the depths of his long puffed sleeves. and he could still only barely parry the first slice from his face. Dion smiled. "Wrong move, dear," and raised her left leg, skewing Arno's left arm brutally by means of the heel tip made of the sharpened metal. Without a second to neither recover nor process the predicament Arno had been thrown into, he grasped his bleeding arm as Dion rendered him immobile with a diagonal slash on his chest. Unable to keep his balance, Arno kneeled, fell backwards from his feet. The almost naked figure, moving with the grace of a ballet prodigy, readied herself with a crushing final blow. Arno's instincts suddenly clicked as he found himself suddenly focused to the very brink of death. He saw everything as if time crept at a pace reminiscent of a snail, and he found himself able to scan every nook and cranny of the battle, as if mirroring the actions of a bird of prey. He exhaled slowly as the world gradually returned back into focus, as time started to beat its usual pace, and jerked his left hand in a particular motion, which primed an already loaded bowgun with an arrow pre-installed. He saw his adversary's eye grow wide open. He flicked his index finger and let the projectile loose, which sailed its way into her waist at point-blank range. Reeling in the pain as well as shock, Dion spat blood on the floor as she pulled the brass-tipped arrow out. "Almost too easy. Well, at least I was already expecting dirty things from the high-nosed chauvinist pigs like you." She gripped her saber even tighter with both hands, unloosened her corset, cooed coolly in a calm, composed, and coherent voice. "And God, assassin." Arno had propped himself up and readied himself into stance as much as his injured body would permit him, and held his blade with his injured arm the best he could, providing him the leeway of his metal bracer from another deadly diagonal full frontal slash. To Arno's and his adversary's surprise, he found himself running towards Dion at concentrated rage, propelling his bladed arm right towards her gut. She dodged the same, and parried the attack with her sword's unguarded hilt smack right at Arno's skull. He dropped semi-conscious to the ground. "Well, well. Now that's something new. An assassin was not a coward." She extracted a miniature knife from the lining of her bosom and kneeled beside the partially paralyzed body of the assassin, bringing her face close to Arno's. Toying with her knife, she muttered, "Oh, I'm surprised. You're quite the pretty one, aren't you?" She slackened her torso and let the well-endowed breast bounce firmly on Arno's chest, bringing her face dangerously close to him as she grabbed his throat and plunged the knife down. She halted at the last moment and plunged her blood-red lips on Arno's, sliding the tiny hand into his hair, and followed the kiss with a series to a bite. Ah, the French. She arose painfully, clutching at her still bleeding waist. "Well, it seems that I can't bring myself to cut that pretty face of yours." She groaned from her obvious discomfort, walked off to pick up her petticoat and gown. "Assassin, do everyone a favor and get those robes of yours a good wash and take a bath. Good hygiene never killed anyone," she declared, limping all the while, picking up her garments. "Looks like I'll be seeing a lot of your pretty face very soon." Putting her puffy dress on sloppily, Arno was still busy trying to process what happened and unable to comprehend why he was in so much pain. She walked up to Arno and looked back at the semi-flaccid body and reasoned, "You're gonna catch a nasty cold if you plan on spending the night here, monsieur. Better get up soon." And proceeded to disappear into the night. Her footsteps faltered as she stopped. "Oh, and if you're still wondering, dear, I am actually a man." Yes, my French sucks and my Latin sucks. Please make a comment about it below if it really bothers you. I know, actually, on Twitch, I have someone named Philia who sometimes I know someone named Philia who sometimes will be in my stream, and she thinks it's hilarious every time I try. She says every time certain people try to talk French. So yeah, I'm sure this will be a laugh riot for her. So you think you see I say her and him, but over the internet I actually don't know. So Philia could be just a tank that's grown sentience or something. But whoever Philia is, I'm sure they'll get a laugh out of it. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed it. Tell me what you think. Ta-ta for now.